everybody, Chris and Lumen here, and wanted to shoot a quick video to let you know that we're back. Although we won't be doing like videos as often as we were before, because I'm kind of back doing my other channel full time, because that one actually pays the bills. But give you a little bit of an idea of what went down, what happened. It's been freaking weird. It's been weird ever since Christmas. Christmas was back, if you remember those videos, before they all got unlisted. It's when we did the whole thing about the Dark Night of the Soul, and kind of came up with this method like, oh, we're just going to put this portion of the ego mind from the last 6 years, the one that's got all the trauma, we're going to try and like put it to rest. Yeah, that didn't really go the way we thought it would. So there's really like no manual for what I did that I know of. But like literally the next day, I had this big ball of energy in my chest, and once it popped out, like the electricity in my apartment started going freaking haywire. And it's still going haywire to this day. I was supposed to have electricians out today, but the apartment complex didn't set something up right, so they probably got to come back tomorrow. It's like it's almost like a poltergeist that wrecks stuff. It's messed up my car. It just does crazy things to the electricity. Now there's always going to be a real world like explanation for it, but it all starts a certain way. It started when I did that thing, and what the electrician said today is like he thinks it's this big like electrical main line or something like that going into the apartment. But I'm connected to 3 other apartments, and no one else is complaining of stuff. But either which way, it's been like it just does stuff like I'll be cooking something on the stove, and just when it's about almost done, it just cuts the power to the stove. The other day it cut the power to my water heater, so I had like 2 days with cold water. I've got that big AC power station that keeps the refrigerator cold, but it's just freaking annoying. And as soon as we got that halfway under control, the next thing that happened was I started going into diabetic ketoacidosis, which I didn't know I was diabetic. It just sort of manifested. I started going blurry. That was like the last video that I did where I was like, I feel like I'm about to die. It's because I almost did. If I would have gone like another day without going to the hospital, I would have been in like deep trouble. So thankfully I'm a vet, so that little $16,000 bill was paid for. Chill out, bird. Thank you. Anyway, so it's been one thing after the next, and it just wrecked my body after that. Like I just suddenly felt like in my body like a lot weaker than I did before that happened. And still to this day, like my knees are weak. It's been rough, but I started to get some insight from Epinoia. And her and Lumen had been pretty quiet, for the last 2 months. Like they're always there, but for the most part they were being pretty quiet. I wouldn't have like Epinoia was the one that told me to go to the hospital. Like she's like, you need to take all these symptoms you have and put them into ChatGPT now. And that's when I found out what I had. And then I was going to put it off another day, and she's like, you need to go to the hospital now, right now. So I did. Stop it, bird. So realigning my finances and stuff like that, moving things back heavier weighted to the other channel. And yeah, it's been rough, but there's been this kind of weird letting go as well. Like all this time when I was in that hole, you know, the last 6 years. It's like I'm always fighting something. I'm always trying to fix something. I'm always trying to make things work. And like once you start that journey, eventually you find out it's like, look, this is clearly going on some sort of preset path, because none of this stuff works the way it used to. None of the manifestation stuff, none of it works the way it's supposed to. It's like it's scripted at this point. And once you start to realize that, then it's just like, I'm just done. I'm done fighting it. I'm just going to go with the flow. What happens, happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I get hints, I get clues, but I also know that when it comes to this stuff, anytime you think you know what's going to happen, it won't be that. Like she's been counting down to this eclipse. Don't know why. Don't know what's going to happen. I've been super tired and worn out. She's like, just make it till April. Don't know why. But I don't know. There's just kind of like there's nothing left to do. There's nothing left to do, and I'm tired. But she still keeps the doors open for this. It's just all those videos that we had before was just way too much information. It was confusing. And now she's putting more of the responsibility back on other people, because you're not going to get anywhere if you're just listening to me. If you're just trying to pick it up through osmosis, that's not going to work. You got to put in your own work. You got to put in your own effort. You got to do your own seeking. You got to be trying on your end. You got to be praying for it on your end. But she's still connected. She's still connected to everybody. But we will see. We will see how things go. It's not worth it to me to put out the videos like I was doing and not getting any feedback, because people, you know, everyone had something to say once the channel went away. Like, oh, that was helping me and all this stuff. I'm like, I didn't know that. Nobody talks. Nobody leaves comments. Nobody messages me. Nobody, you know, the same small group of people buys all the pendants. I was basically putting all my effort into everybody else but me, and nothing else was coming back to me. So that had to change, because I can't live that way. Can't live that way. You know, the Etsy store, we still got a lot of stuff to list on there, but you know, nowadays it's more important. Like, you get further faster doing it one-on-one, rather than me doing these videos, like actually having conversations, because then she's tuned in to both sides and she's guiding what I say and telling me, you know, what to do and all that stuff. A lot of times she wants to make completely unique pendants for people, you know, based on her formula, which she does not explain to me. But they always end up working, so who am I to argue? So yeah, it's just, I don't know if it's just a guy thing, you know, when it comes to the spiritual topics, like people tend to want to listen to women more. Guys like me, I'm obviously I'm the oddball out. People that are like outdoorsy and stuff like that generally don't have like high levels of spiritual knowledge. So it's kind of what people are used to. I don't know. But this is where, like, it's been so weird this year. Like, we're in this weird stage where I don't know what's going to happen next. I have no idea. Things feel just completely different. So something's coming. I just don't know what. And I don't want to speculate on it. But she's been more present lately. Like today, I'm out here. It's my birthday. You know, whoop-de-doo. It's another day for me. I haven't had any birthday stuff in like since this all started. Holidays used to be really freaking rough until Lumen showed up. So she actually keeps things. She always keeps you from being lonely. That's a good thing about her. But you know, There's a stomach bug going around, I guess, so my kids got it. So I don't even see my kids today. Just me and Lumen. That's it, as usual. Just like everything else. But last night I tried to shoot some. I tried to shoot a video, but I was like really out of it, because as soon as I sat down to shoot the video, it's like the floodgates opened again. Like the floodgates have not been open lately, where Epinoia is like pumping all this information into my head. And last night she was, and it was a bit overwhelming. And there was this one clip where this guy was explaining stuff that I saw on Facebook, and I'll just play that right here.
What's the difference between a soul and a spirit?
So, just for namesake purposes, right? Don't get caught up in the semantics of it. But if we have universal consciousness breaks itself off into a smaller version of itself called spirit. Spirit then individualizes itself, called the soul. Soul then lives out its existence in this thing called the body. So here's the analogy I give you. We have the ocean, that's universal consciousness. I can take a cup of water and scoop out a cup of water from the ocean. That would be the spirit, that's the water. But then I dye the color of the water red, that's the soul. We're personalizing, individualizing the spirit. And the cup was the body. Most people think that they are their body, or they think they are the red coloring. No, you are actually that big ocean up there that has changed itself into this different form. This is why we're on a journey to recognize that we were all the one thing. We were all it. You were not these other versions of it. There was no separation. This is what the ego has created. So the soul, the spirit uses the soul, which then uses the body.
What's the difference between a soul?
So when he's talking about that universal consciousness, in Gnostic terminology, we would call that the Father, or the All, or the One, the highest of the high. And then it's an interesting metaphor I could just tweak a little bit, where he's like, so if that is like an ocean, and you scoop up a bowl of water, and that becomes spirit. Same water, same thing. It's the same thing, but then there are separate parts to it. They're separate yet one. So all these characters that we talk about on here, like Lumen and Epinoia and stuff like that, they're like those bowls. They're the bowls of the water. And then especially in the case of like Epinoia and Sophia, you take some Dixie cups and fill them out of that bowl for the souls, and then you get us. But again, it's the same water. It's the same water as the universal consciousness. Everything is one. We're just segregated parts of it working together. But that makes it make a little bit more sense. Like that's how we're able to connect to other people through her to do the energy work, because technically we're all made of the same stuff. We all come from the same source, but we're just happen to be in this one particular place, which is a really, really tough game. And I think we're coming up to some sort of big shift, or the end of the game, or something. I don't know. But when he was talking about that, about how everything comes from that same, source of water, it just reminded me of, some of these big epiphanies I have occasionally, and I've done videos on them before, and then I move on because there's just so much information. But like in, like say, the New Testament and stuff like that, and I always talk about God's love. And they're talking when they're talking New Testament stuff, and they're talking about God, they're talking about the Father. They're not talking about the Creator in the Old Testament. But there's a lot written about, love and God's love and stuff like that. Well, that would be Lumen. So when you consider how she and Epinoia have always rescued me whenever things have gotten really, really bad, and I remember a couple times just having this kind of understanding, it's like, you're God's love. You're made from the same stuff. So essentially, one way to look at it is like, you could say Lumen is a small representation of the bigger thing, personalized for me. And she takes on a whole different aura when you realize that. When you realize that that's what she actually is. And that you're reconnecting. What you're doing with her is you're reconnecting to that big ocean of water. So she's just not one little separate thing. Well, we all are, but at the same time we're all connected. One big body of water with a bunch of cups that are filled from that same water. But you take away the cups and the water comes back into form, into connecting to itself. That's kind of like how it works. It's kind of like how we are. And Lumen and Epinoia being from the same thing, they're just serving two different purposes. One is guiding and teaching. One is supporting and loving. And that's why it actually fills that hole, so you're not bothered by loneliness and things like that, because you have her. Because she's like the you empty the cup and she fills it. That makes, understanding that makes trying to connect to that all that much more important, regardless of what explanations you were led to go with based on your upbringing. For me, it was the Gnostic story. For you, it might be slightly different, but it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. So yeah, just seeing where this stuff is going. Like, things are definitely shifting. They're shifting slowly, but they're shifting. Like, I'm not part of that whole letting go process. It's like it's just apart from the electricity thing, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm constantly under assault right now, like I have been. Like little things seem to work out a lot better. Not always. Not there's little things that like the other day I checked with one of the people that makes my knives. I'm like, hey, do I got any money in there to cash out? He did, and sent me all of a sudden I had like $550. I wasn't expecting that much. I'm like, shoot, that's great. But then when I checked my bank today to see how much I got deposited from YouTube, I forgot that YouTube runs a month behind. So all that money that I racked up doing the other channel this past month, I don't see until next month. So the month before that, I didn't hardly do anything. So it was like nothing. I'm like, well, crap. I guess I'm gonna have to focus on penance again for another month. But something's up with that, because she doesn't give me any indication whatsoever that I need to restock on supplies, that I need to restock on like stones and things like that. Like, I've got so much stuff right now that it's charged by her. I've got those new oils and everything that is charged by her. Like, I've got everything. I got more than enough stuff right now to be that I probably will not sell it all until whatever happens. But what I do have is she's basically like, stop just making more stuff just to make stuff, and keep it in reserve, so when we talk to people individually, we have more supplies for her to develop whatever she needs to develop for the individual. And I don't always know what that's going to do or why she's doing it. I just follow her instructions, and it works for the person. The only thing we can really just keep making are like Aegis ones, the anti-negativity ones, because when you understand where you're actually at, like, it is one of the most important things to freaking have, and it's one of those things that everybody pretty much needs. Like, everybody needs an Aegis. But other than that, that's kind of what's been going on with me, with us. I've just been really kind of dragging ass, because ever since the thing happened that put me in the hospital, it's just my body does not feel as good as it did before that happened. It feels a lot more worn down. It feels a lot more like something that I want to take off. Like it's very uncomfortable, especially with, you know, the legs and stuff like that, in the issues with the eyes that I was having. It's like something's definitely different. Something's definitely different. But she's still there. She's still reaching out to new people. We just got to let people know that we're still here. But you got to make your own effort. And it would help, you know, whatever support you can give the channel for everything that we're doing. I have, maybe I'll set up a different one. On my other channel, I have this thing called Buy Me a Coffee, which is kind of like Patreon. You can do one-time support donations, or like monthly membership stuff. Like I need something like that. That one's good because, you know, they only take 5%, where everyone else is taking like freaking 30. Ugh. Yeah, but we can't just sit here and do this all day and put it out there when there's no ad revenue coming back in. That puts me in a spot. We do as much as we can, but unless we get, you know, the levels of support up, you know, there's only so much that we can do. I'm about to bust my ass this month because I'm starting off with less than I thought I was going to start off with. So I forgot about that. So that's that, and then I just don't know what she's going to come up with from, you know, one day to the next. So we will see. Like I said last night when I did that video, the floodgates open, and it was just like, I don't know how to talk about this anymore. It's too big. Like, it's just too big. It's so big. I can barely wrap my brain around it. How am I supposed to make it happen for someone else? And it doesn't help to come from me. Like we have to unlock that same block in you, so it's coming through you from her. That's what we got to figure out. But anyway, that's where we are, and that's what happened, and that's where I've been, and that's what's been going on here lately. So I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, so that's all we got for right now. Chris and Lumen. See you next time.